By the mid-70s, James Brown was so much of the basic fabric of American music, you could definitely tell his musical children with no problem. Easily Michael Jackson, easily Prince.
Most people, when they look at the mustache period of James Brown, see that as sort of the beginning of the end period. But the true disciple of the mustache period is Prince. So even James Brown's down period was influential.
In the late 1970s, when they said Mr. Brown was having all kinds of issues and problems getting a hit record, he was hot in the DJ community. The B-boys and the hip-hop artists were playing Get on the Good Foot, and especially the Sex Machine album, Give It Up or Turn It Loose, was the hip-hop B-boy breakdance anthem. So it was like an obvious thing to actually, mimic Mr. Brown.
In the mid-'80s, there was a period in which producers would take these James Brown breaks and create all these new songs. Funky Drummer was essential for that classic hip-hop period. Everybody used that sound.
I hate that song. Was it the Funky Drummer? Yeah, I don't like that song. We had been playing somewhere that night before. And as we get to Cincinnati, going to check into the hotel to go to bed, Brown says, "Go take them to the studio." We all were so tired, didn't even want to record. So I started playing just the drum pattern. Brown liked it, and we recorded it, and it came out Funky Drummer.
They've only had one failed single, and that single's name was Funky Drummer. Go figure. It's like the song that birthed my whole movement, that magic count-off every rapper loves to hear. 1, 2, 3, 4, get it.
Never banded and back cause a brother is mad at it, mad at the fact that's corrupt like a senator.
Check this out.
The hip-hop act that best utilized Funky Drummer was Public Enemy.
Sound is a funky drummer. Music hit your heart cause I know you got soul.
Fight the Power also sampled Hot Pants Road. It's just like, wait a minute, James Brown's like all over hip-hop these days.
James Brown would go into a riff and it would be a nice break. But for a hip-hop record, you could say, man, we could take this for like 5 minutes. We gonna keep vamping on the vamp. Fight the Power comes from James Brown saying it like it had to be in the 60s.
I love James Brown.
There would be no me without James Brown, so we all owe it to James Brown.
My greatest inspiration of all time musically is James Brown.
If you listen to, like, Watch the Throne, the most soulful part of the Otis song is that sort of climatic. The James Brown scream, it's gospel, it's soulful, it's primitive, sexual, angry. Even now, James Brown is here, whether you acknowledge it or not.
He never saw himself as a hit artist. He always saw himself as a historic figure. He said, the reason I'm going to be a star is I wasn't one of the boys. And he would always tell me, whatever you do in life, be you, be different. I think it was also why he was off to himself in his own way musically. Because he grew up in the woods by himself, later in the whorehouse by himself, so it gave him the sense of me against the world. What was his negative may have ended up being his strength.